Karina, thank you for coming on.
You're welcome.
Thank
you.
Of course. So you've been a fan since the early days.
Yeah, this is, like I said, full circle.
That's so funny.
This is so full circle.
And you got sober in the process. You're coming up on a year of sobriety. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Rise Above got you sober, right?
Yes.
Thank you. That's what
It was a big part of it.
I'll pay you later for that answer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
So where are you from? What was early childhood like?
I am from Bergen County, New Jersey. Early childhood. I had a good childhood. I grew up in a very nice town. 2 loving parents. I am the baby of 3 girls.
Oof, your poor dad.
I know, right? I know. It was good. I mean, we had everything we wanted. And I mean, every family has their stuff, but yeah, I was grateful, and we were raised to be very grateful. My parents were really good about that. And yeah, I was really blessed. Looking back at it, things were, I feel like in my family, always a little rocky. My parents never really had a great marriage, but they always did what they could to provide for us. And we were always loved, for sure.
You talked about every family having their stuff that goes on within the family. Now, from my experience when I was younger, we kept the family stuff in the household, and it was about the image, everyone can't find out about this.
Yeah.
Were you guys the same?
Yeah. I mean, we were kind of raised to sweep stuff under the rug, for sure. It's not the image as well, but also we kind of kept that image inside the household. No one really ever talked about the things that went on. It just kind of, I think that's just how my parents were raised, mainly my dad. He was kind of raised to not talk about things, and that's just kind of how we were. I mean, as I got older, my mom kind of became more talk about your emotions, and my dad eventually as well, but they got better with that. But it was always kind of, we didn't talk about it even really within the house. But my parents always, they fought a lot. They fought a lot, and me and my sisters fought pretty bad too, but that's normal stuff, we're all girls, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Did any of your sisters have any issues with alcohol or drugs or?
No, they definitely both had their fair share of, they're both sober now, both of my sisters.
They're both sober.
They are,
and they
both
did
sober.
not have an issue.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, which is really interesting.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they're both been sober for I want to say 4 or 5 years.
That's great.
Yeah, something like that. My middle sister, I think maybe 4 years. My oldest sister, maybe 5. So and a lot of that, I think they have their different reasons for it, but I think a lot of it had to do with them being scared of the gene that we had in our family, and also just the dynamic of how much damage the disease has done to our family, that I think when they got older, they were just turned off by it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I didn't have it as easy when it came to quitting, but yeah, they both did it on their own. They're both completely sober.
It's funny when the disease of addiction gene skips you, and your ability to stop based off of someone else's experience or potentially could impact you.
Yeah.
To make that choice, because I would say you and I are cut from the same fabric. We're both on this podcast here now. But I didn't have that decision.
Yeah. No.
I couldn't make that decision. I didn't have an option.
Yeah.
So
I would say it made it easier for me once I was sober, though. Having them already have that established, when I'm with them now, it makes it so much easier.
That's great.
Honestly.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that all three of us are sober.
And even aside from them just making the choice based off of the addiction gene that was in your family.
Yeah.
I feel like now, today, sober curious is a thing.
It is. It definitely
people are quitting.
is. It's
amazing.
For sure. I know. It's like kind of it makes me feel better sometimes. It does. It does.
It's like you want to quit because you want to improve the quality of your life.
I definitely don't get it.
That sounds miserable.
I mean, it's great. It is great.
It is great.
Yeah, I think it was for them more so like, I think they felt like it affected their mental health. And they just are wise like that, I guess. They were like, it doesn't do me any well. So my oldest sister definitely had her fair share with like, she was like a little bit of a pothead or a lot of a pothead in high school and like in college, but she was like kind of like a psychedelic sort of person. She's very like hippie like, but she, that kind of, it faded.
Did you play any sports? Were you involved in social circles? What did that look like?
Yeah, so I started competitive cheerleading when I was 5.
5?
5 years old, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. It was, I had family friends actually that were older than me and they were involved with it. And I was just like obsessed with what they did. And I got involved really young and it was my life from then on. It was, I spent every waking moment in the cheer gym as much as I could. And that was my escape for sure out of my house. And I would leave school. I would go to practice. I would stay there as late as I could. Like I would be there till like 10 at night. I mean, it was everything.
Hey guys, quick update. Every Monday night, I host the Rise Above Recovery meeting. It's an open meeting for any addiction, alcohol, drugs, gambling, food, whatever you're struggling with, you're welcome here. To get the meeting link and weekly updates, just email me at kevin@riseabovepod.com and I'll add you to the list. Also, if this podcast has helped you, please like, subscribe, or leave a rating. It helps us continue to spread the message of hope. Lastly, if you'd like to go even deeper with Rise Above, check out our Patreon. Supporters get access to live interviews and can chat with guests after the interview. Thank you. It's very demanding at a young age.
I loved it.
You loved it?
I loved it.
Did you feel the pressure? Because I feel like with cheerleading, with certain sports, maybe gymnastics, there's a certain standard that you need to be held to. Did you feel that pressure at a young age? I mean, 5, you can't remember probably, but like, 8, 9, 10, 11, did you feel that pressure?
I did. I mean, I think I loved it because I was very gifted at it. And I was like, who doesn't love something that they're
when you're good
the best at it? So I was,
no big deal.
Yeah. I was very quickly like, I cheered at a small gym in Bergen County and I outgrew it very quickly. So I kind of would say I was favored by my coaches. I kind of like, I got to the point where I didn't really need to it wasn't as demanding at a certain point because I had hit a certain level. But it was pressure, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think any sort of sport where you're like fighting to be right front and center, it's pressure.
What did you do on your cheerleading squad? Like what position were you?
I was a flyer.
Flyer. So you were thrown in the air.
Yeah. Like
tossed in the air.
Oh yeah.
And you can do flips, you can do all that shit?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
I know.
So, okay. So you're these are your words. You are the best at it.
All right. Maybe not the best.
No, I get it. You excelled, right?
Yeah.
So it makes it I mean, I played football. I played lacrosse. I excelled in both of those. And it was hard work and I hated it until I got to that point where I was really good, made the Long Island All-Star team, et cetera. And then I was like, this is fucking easy, you know, and then 2-a-day practices, the second practice, I can just kind of skate by because I was good. The coach didn't really care. I get that.
Yeah.
Did you, and I'm asking this because I did you kind of build up a little bit of an ego and like, I'm a little better than, or?
Yeah. Well, I think also like at school, a lot of people like knew what I did. You know, a lot of people, you know, there was families that had younger kids in it and they were like, oh my God, she's so good. And, you know, a lot of people would see me. So I feel like I had more of an ego at school about it. Like people kind of knew like, oh my God, she's this really good cheerleader. She's always traveling. She's always, you know, doing this, doing that. When I think it was 4th and 5th grade, I was a Nick City kid. So that was like, that was crazy.
That's so funny.
That was like, to me, honestly, like I didn't think it was that cool because I was just young. My parents thought it was like the coolest thing
Nick
ever.
City dancer. That's pretty. Yeah. That's an accomplishment.
Yeah. So yeah, I like met Paul McCartney and I remember saying to my parents like,
who is that?
I met Paul McCartney. But I was like more excited that I met the Cheetah Girls and they were like, you met Paul McCartney? I was like, who is that? Like
that's so funny.
They're like, you're ridiculous. But they got like free tickets and it was so fun. It was really fun.
That's exciting.
It was. Yeah. I loved performing more than anything. Like it was the adrenaline rush was, I mean, when I would go to Worlds, which is at ESPN in Orlando, like it just, the crowd and everything. It's like you black out, but it was unbelievable. It was my favorite thing.
Yeah.
I still to this day can't beat a feeling, no drink, nothing ever beat any of that.
That adrenaline rush, you hit that like ceiling of adrenaline. Yeah. And when I used to play sports, it used to like certain games or, you know, significant games, you hit it and then when you perform well, I know that blackout phase you're talking about. Yeah. You just muscle like, memory, like you just perform and then you're done and it's like, whew.
Yeah. I mean, you perform for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That's how long a cheer routine is. But it's like, I mean, you're dying at the end of it. I mean, you black out, especially in big crowds like that.
Were you experiencing adrenaline dumps after it, like a low point depression or not really?
The thing is, like the cheer season in the all-star cheerleading world, it never ends. So there was always like, okay, Worlds is over, which is the last competition of the year. It's like the Olympics of cheerleading. And then tryouts is like a week later. So you're already like, there was never a point where there was like seasons or I had any downtime. So there was always like something to keep that adrenaline up, like wanting to be better and like I was always like, I need to get back into the gym. Like immediately I need to, you know, I need this spot, I need that spot. And by the time I was, I want to say my sophomore year of high school, I left my gym that I grew up at. And I, just because I kind of grew out of it. And I went to a gym that was kind of like down the shore in New Jersey. They were like the best in the world. So it was a rude awakening for me because because everyone was just as good as I was.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that. Like my coaches at my other gym knew me since I was a baby and it was, you know, I had like special treatment.
You grew up there.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
So it was different. And I honestly will say after that, I didn't have the same love for the sport anymore. I loved it, but I didn't realize how much of it was the family dynamic over there. So I sometimes wish I never left. But, but it was a good experience. It pushed me, but I didn't love it the same anymore.
So when I played football in college, I'll never forget walking up to the practice field the first day and seeing the size of everyone. Yeah. Everyone was twice the size of me. Yeah. And everyone was twice as fast as I was. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
And it's like,
you're like, I want no part of this.
fear automatically just set in. And I'm like, how could I get out of this? How could I get out of this? Like, I want no part of this.
Yeah.
And I hated it, and I was miserable, and I was depressed. And did you experience those feelings?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I just didn't like not being the best anymore. It was, I just lost that love I had for it, which like kind of made me realize a lot of the love for it was like the ego.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, it was hard. I just didn't have the same coaches. I wasn't used to it. And yeah, I felt like I had made a mistake. But
how long did you last at that second gym?
Not that long, maybe like a year or so. I honestly don't even remember.
Okay. Then did you go back to your old gym, or did you just stop?
I did, I moved around a little bit.
Got it.
Yeah. So I kind of was like confused. I didn't know, like it kind of shook up my flow I had going on. So it's kind of hard to remember how long I was there, but a good bit. But I pretty much finished my high school career there.
Got it.
With that. But yeah, but like when I think back of like my best years, it was before any of that happened.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Were you drinking, or had you discovered alcohol at all during, your high school years while you were cheerleading?
Yeah.
And what was that like? Was it more of a casual encounter, or?
No, nothing was ever casual about me drinking. Honestly.
I crossed the invisible line at birth.
No, like really? Well, so the first time I picked up a drink was, never forget it. Oh my gosh. 8th grade. I was 14. I'm a little older for my grade. So it was the end of 8th grade. We were having field day. Field day was like big deal. And I think, so me and all my girlfriends had like a big sleepover at my house, and our guy friends had like a big sleepover at one of their guy friends' house. And we like knew that they were drinking. It was like the first time they were going to drink. So we were like, all right, we're going to do it too.
You guys all snuck out?
No, we didn't sneak out. The girls drank alone, but we knew they were drinking.
Got it.
So I had like my best friend sleeping over. We all like got a water bottle, like collected what we could of vodka from our parents' like bars, which was like not a lot. Like we were so scared. Yeah. And we just like sat in my basement like the night before and just like tried to drink. Like we didn't get drunk, but
you felt a little something.
I guess. I feel like it was such a placebo sort of thing. Like we really didn't drink much. So that like definitely wasn't like my white light moment with drinking. Of course. But I will say like after that, I skyrocketed with drinking completely. That summer going into freshman year of high school, I went crazy, and it never stopped.
And it just kept going on.
It never stopped, yeah.
Were you, so through high school, you were obviously still cheering competitively. Yeah. So you were showing up. And also, too, were you out of school a lot because you were traveling so much?
I was. I didn't go to school. All my friends will say, like, I was never at school.
Okay.
It was a rare occasion you saw me at school, honestly.
But it wasn't because of drinking. It was because of competitive cheerleading.
It was a mix of, because of cheerleading, and also, like, I would never go to school on, like, Fridays because I was on a plane, and then I would, like, never go on Mondays because I, like, just got off the plane, and I didn't want to, I needed to sleep. But then I hated school. So, like, my mom would say, like, I was the worst. It was like every morning she woke me up. I was like, I can't do it. Like, I cannot do it.
Yeah, of course.
Like, I despise school because I felt like I was so behind all the time, and every teacher hated me. I don't know why. I just think that I didn't care about school. I did fine. Like, I got by. I wouldn't say I did good, but I did okay. I was lucky enough that like I could get through tests and like not study and stuff, but
well, that's why they hated you, because you were able to get through tests and not study or not even show up.
I just didn't put any effort into, like, I'll never forget I think it was my science teacher, this Mr. Dates. Oh my God.
Mr. Dates.
Yeah, he said to me, he was like, if you put half the amount of effort into your school as you do into your looks, maybe you would do well in school. And I was like, oh. Like, because I just kind of would walk in and like I cared about what I looked like. I cared about boys. And I was like, that's it.
Yeah, I get it.
And they hated that.
Yeah.
They were like, you walk around like you are here for no reason but to socialize.
Well, that's why they hated you. There you go.
Yeah. But I didn't miss, like I would miss parties and stuff because of cheerleading, but not, I mean, I managed. I went out a lot still.
Yep.
For sure. But yeah, my drinking it was pretty bad from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like I would say my parents would even say they saw red flags from the start.
Did they ever approach you?
My dad was definitely, and I don't want to like take the words out of his mouth because I don't know if this is completely true, but I feel like he was always hypersensitive to my drinking because I feel like with the past that he has in his family, he can like smell an alcoholic from a mile away. And I feel like he saw the signs. So and my dad was very strict when it came to drinking. And I think that was because of what he's dealt with.
Of course.
My mom was the opposite. So my dad traveled a lot. He was not home often. He was always like out of the country for like 2 weeks on end.
So it was just you and mom.
Yeah. So I would get in trouble if he was home. Like he would get really mad if I came home and I was drunk, but he would go away and like my mom would let me have bangers at the house. Like just when he was gone.
Yeah. Mama Dukes.
Yeah, she didn't care. She would sometimes get annoyed when she like picked me up and she'd be like, come on, like you really had to drink that much. Like relax.
Yeah.
But she didn't, she thought it was a phase.
Of course.
She didn't think it was that bad. But I think she felt like when my dad was home, she had to reprimand me. Of
course.
Because he would get mad. But he was like the kind of like dad that was like, oh, you were at a party and people were drinking. You guys aren't 21. I was like, Dad, what?
Do you live in America?
I'm like, that's not how it works. Like, what are you talking about? Which, like, I don't know why he would say that because it's not.
We actually stopped drinking when we're 21.
Yeah, exactly.
We've already had the problem. And like, no.
But we had a few like bad incidents, me and my dad, when I came home when I was drinking. He didn't like it. We would fight.
Yeah.
Bad. Yeah.
So you graduated high school on time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you graduate high school, you go to college?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You go away to college. Does your drinking take off at this point? Are you cheering in college?
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit. Yeah. I would say I'm trying to.
Mm-hmm.
But not to the same level. So, because my partying was prioritized for sure. So yes, I wouldn't say, so my drinking changed in college a lot in the terms of, so I had a very serious boyfriend in college. He went to college in New Jersey, so he stayed locally. And because COVID was going on during college, I spent a lot of time back there, spending a lot of time at his school, spending a lot of time with his family, and they are very big Italian family. Drinking comes with everything. And this was something I wasn't used to. Like my family doesn't even really, like at family events, like Christmas, Thanksgiving, people will drink a little bit, but it's not like a drinking fest.
That's my parents are like your parents.
Yeah. So, but his family it's everything. Like you wake up, you have mimosas, like you go lay by the pool, you drink, you like he was young compared to his siblings. He had 3 older siblings that were married and had kids. And they
he was a mistake.
Yeah, he was a mistake, but he was the favorite. But yeah, so he played football in college, and I spent more time like really at his school and at his house. So during COVID lockdown, I lived with him and his family and his siblings and everyone. We all cooped up in his parents' house and we drank every single day. And that was normal for them. It was, but I didn't realize that throughout our relationship, it brought out this daily drinking is normal for me. And it was everything we did. Like we would go, you know, like to the pumpkin patch and we're like drinking. We would go pick out a Christmas tree. We're drinking. We're taking the babies like trick or treating. We're drinking. Like everything involved drinking. Yeah. So, and they weren't, maybe not all of them, but most of them did not have an alcohol problem. They could put it down, but that was just normal for them. Yeah. So, but I would realize as I would go home or I wouldn't be with them. I continued. And that's what really brought the daily drinking into play. Mm-hmm. It was just not to like blame them, but it was just normal for them. And that definitely, because of what I have, it was a recipe for a disaster. But I wouldn't say at that time it was showed as a problem. Mm-hmm. I still was managing my life fine. Yeah. So, yeah, but it definitely made, so I would say like I wasn't going out as much because I was like very focused on my relationship. I definitely partied more in high school than I did in college.
Well, partly also because of COVID. So it's like, yeah. Honestly, that sound for someone who has a problem with any kind of addiction, being hunkered down during COVID with a family like that sounds like the dream.
Oh, it was.
And like you said, you're not blaming them by any means. It's no one's fault but ours. However, you had that gene already in you. Yeah. And it's like, this was an atmosphere you were in that really excelled the disease of addiction from within you. And kind of opened up, for example, like you said, the daily drinking. Mm-hmm. I remember when I went from, I actually was never like a isolated day user, but I remember like even the earlier days of like drinking and stuff like that. It would just be like, oh, on the weekends. Yeah. And then once I realized I could do this every day, I could do this when I wake up before I start my day. This is amazing. Oh, yeah. And then it got to a point where I was, you know, the homeostasis is here. I'm all the way starting my day sober all the way down here. And I just need that to get back normal. Yeah. So I can relate. All right. So do you graduate college in 4 years? Mm-hmm. Okay. So you graduate college. What was your major?
Communications.
Same.
Really?
Yeah. Well, by default, because I couldn't get into
it's the simplest thing to do.
King of half measures right over here. Yeah. All right. So you graduate with a communications degree. What do you do after that?
So for 2 years prior to that, I started interning. So I was like probably right in the middle of like COVID happening too. I started interning for a real estate company in Bergen County. In the summers, I was doing kind of like administrative work. My mom worked there. So she kind of got me into that. And then I did really well with it and I liked it. And they hired me like pretty much immediately. So I worked there I was there for probably like 2 years, but I moved to Hoboken. So I was doing like a reverse commute.
Where were they based? In Bergen County?
Ramsey, yeah. Okay. Bergen County, yeah.
So then you moved to Hoboken and then how long is that commute? Like an hour?
It was like an hour. It's honestly better because you're going like the opposite way of traffic.
Right. Yeah. But you didn't have to go in every day.
I did.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Oh, wow. So all right. So location wise, I mean, Hoboken is
it was not
party
easy.
central.
Yeah.
Is that why you moved there?
I don't know if it was a complicated time in my life that I knew I had to move out. My parents' marriage was getting bad. And it was like one of those things where I just couldn't live home because I knew that things were like about to crash and burn. So I was like, let me get out of here as soon as I can. So I moved there because I didn't want to move to the city. Like the city was too much for me. And it was like the closest kind of like suburby city.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like the second best thing to that. I don't know.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But I would, I mean, Hoboken's great too.
Hoboken's awesome.
Yeah.
So you're doing this reverse commute. How you're living alone in Hoboken?
I wasn't alone.
Oh, you had roommates.
I had 3 roommates,
but no parents.
No
and
parents.
Yes, you were living in college, but also too.
Yeah.
You're graduating now. At this point, I'm assuming you're still drinking. Are you justifying maybe you're drinking? Like you have this job that you show up to every day. You did an internship. They liked you so much because you did a great job that they hired you out of college. Are you justifying your drinking at all at this point?
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I hadn't started like drinking during the day yet. I was still drinking after work only. I was still able to drive to work sober. So like I hadn't crossed really the line yet. So I was still managing my life fine, but I was definitely drinking every single day.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I remember when I was at this job, it was like my first thought that I was concerned that maybe I had a problem, which is crazy because I think I knew deep down for a very long time. But I specifically remember this moment when I was working at that company that I was kind of like slacking, going to the gym and stuff like that. And I was like, I really need to get back into the gym. I need to get my routine in place. And I was thinking about I need to eat healthier. And I'm like, okay, a part of eating healthier, I should probably like stop drinking every day. And at this point, it felt, yes, justified for the reason that like, okay, Monday night, The Bachelor is on and me and my girlfriends drink wine when we watch The Bachelor. Tuesday night, I'm going out to dinner and I drank. And then like there was always a reason, but there wasn't. Like, it's just because I wanted to. But I remember thinking I need to cut down on the drinking. And I was like, I'm not going to drink tonight. And I like couldn't, it was like really hard. Like I couldn't do it. And that raised concern for me. Like I got into this phase where I was like, I need to stop drinking so much. And I was realizing that I was having a really difficult time doing it. So that was like the first moment I kind of was concerned, but it was one of those things that I was like, I'm young and I'll deal with it later, which I did.
So it's interesting because drugs, alcohol, gambling, sex addiction, whatever, Overeaters Anonymous, whatever it is, those are all symptoms of the disease. Yeah. Those are all symptoms. The problem lies within, right? And what a lot of people who aren't alcoholics or addicts don't understand is you can't stop drinking. No, yes, that is partially true, but it's the chaos that goes on in our heads.
Yeah.
Like, we go to a program, right? A 12-step program where it says, like, if you don't think you're an addict or an alcoholic, go try some controlled drinking. I tried controlled drinking and I did it successfully. I had 2 drinks one night. I said, I'm going to have 2 drinks and I had the 2 drinks. But the fucking chaos that went on in my head after I put that second drink down, or even thinking about it going into the night, like, I'm only having 2 drinks. Is that even going to be enough? Like, am I going to feel good? Am I going to be able to socialize? Am I going to be able to do this?
The obsession.
I had a miserable night. It was terrible. And the night went well.
Yeah.
I was in my head the whole time. The chaos, the thinking. Is that what you were experiencing when you tried to cut down and stop those nights? Of course.
I was restless. I was irritable. I was discontent all the time. And that's how I always was. I was uncomfortable in my own skin always. And I couldn't function through the world like a normal person. I didn't understand how people were like living their lives. I was like, I can't function. I can't hang out with my friends one-on-one and not drink. I can't go out to dinner and not drink. Like, I feel like a crazy person. Like, I had to drink before I did anything. I had to drink before I hung out with my boyfriend of 4 years. It was like, what is wrong with me?
Yeah.
I didn't want to do anything unless drinking was involved.
Yeah.
At all. I just didn't want it. And it was like so tiring. It was so tiring. And like, it almost feels like when I did cross the line, as much as like life got so much more chaotic, I was like curing it 24/7 at that point. So life was so much easier at that time. But when I was like waiting till 5 o'clock to drink before I crossed that line of drinking around the clock, I would just like sit there like, oh my God, when am I going to, like, I need to get to the liquor store.
Yep.
Like, it was so bad.
Yeah. Whenever I would set times, like, all right, I'm going to use at 5 o'clock. It's 3 o'clock now. Those 2 hours, every minute, I'm like it's great. And then I end up not sticking to the 5 p.m. But it never works out that way. So you are hunkered down in Hoboken. Now you're going to work. Does it start to impact your work, your drinking?
Not at this job. It didn't.
Okay.
It didn't. But the commute became too much. I made a kind of like agreement with them that I was going to start working from home a couple of days a week. No one really did that at that company, but because they did want me to stay and the commute was so hard, they agreed. I think it was 2 times a week I started working from home. And it didn't really last that long. I kind of started looking for other jobs. I got this idea that I really wanted to work in New York City.
That'll cure it all. That'll cure everything.
Oh my God. And I got an offer to be an operations coordinator at a company in New York City, and I took it immediately. And it was the beginning of the end, to say the least. But so to keep backtrack a little bit. So at this time when I was kind of transitioning, like that whole year, me and my very long-term boyfriend broke up. It was just one of those, like, it wasn't like a bad breakup, but like we ended civilly, but it was a big change in my life for sure.
You were in love, but logistically it just didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, we were together since we were so young, like really, really young, and we changed as people. We started dating when I was 17, and we broke up when I was 22. So it was like, and I think a lot of the issue was, so my parents separated, and it was a very, very nasty situation, and I took it very, very hard. And I'm not really someone who talks about my emotions much. So I think a lot of the issue of us breaking up had to do with the fact that he did an extra year at school for football. And that was like, I really wanted him to enjoy that. It was like his last year to do what he loved. And I had all this hectic stuff going on in my life, and I didn't want to interfere with it. But like all that was going on in my life was really hectic. So I kind of like stopped talking to him.
Yeah.
Like, we were best friends, and I wasn't really telling him what was going on in my head. So I started kind of like acting weird, and we just kind of like, I feel like our friendship just, it drifted because I was in a bad place and I didn't want to talk to him about it.
Yeah.
So just like things just changed, and Yeah. So at that point in my life when we broke up and my parents were in the middle of separating, there was a lot of change going on in my life. Like a lot of change, a lot of things that I was very used to being ripped away from me, including his family. They were like my family, his nieces, his nephews. I was very close to them. I was there when they were born, and it was really hard on me because my family was dysfunctional and they were like my safe place.
Yeah.
So it was really like losing his family, that was my family, and then also losing my family.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't have my childhood home anymore. It was gone. My middle sister was off at sea performing on a cruise. And my oldest sister we weren't even speaking at the time, and she was living in Costa Rica. So I was dealing with this all alone. Mm-hmm. And it was like a rude awakening. I just did it, and I started this new job in the city, and my life just felt like there was nothing familiar at all. Like I didn't have this person that I was with all the time since I was in high school. It just was, that was when things got bad. That was when things got bad.
I mean, it's a lot of uncomfortable feelings. You're experiencing all of these things that are outside of your comfort zone. Now, clearly you were drinking through this time.
Yeah.
And numbing the emotion. Were you going to therapy at all during this time or no?
I was always really bad with therapy in the sense that like I always knew I needed it, but I would start and then I would stop and then I would start. I would do like one session. I'd be like, I don't like her. Like just because I didn't want to do the work.
Of course.
Like I just didn't want to talk about what was going on. And my parents were always like, you really should probably see someone. Mm-hmm. But I also my parents thought that I really had it all together. I was really always that kid in our family that, my sisters are amazing, but they had issues growing up a lot. My one sister suffered a lot with mental health issues, and they both did. And I kind of,
you were the rock.
It was like that rock that really kept my parents sane. And I felt a lot of pressure within that for sure. And I never asked for help, like if I was having a hard time ever. I just really wanted to like keep on that facade I had. And I really came off and I talk about it with my sisters now, like they viewed me as like, I didn't care about anyone. I was very like in my own world, and that wasn't, but I actually really did feel really deeply, but I hid it. And I like hid in my room. And it was when I was home, I had so much going on in my head, but it was so behind closed doors. And I was always like losing my mind. So when the divorce came around, my parents, I think they really thought I could handle all of it. And I was right in the middle of all of it. So, and my mom and me are really close. So there was things I really didn't want to know that, my days started consisting of like my dad calling me and complaining and my mom calling me and complaining about this and that. And it was too much.
It's a lot.
It was too much. And also me and my dad didn't really have a relationship growing up. I think my dad's form of love was always kind of just like giving us everything. And he did a really amazing job at that. He worked really, really hard, but he had a really difficult life, and he didn't necessarily know how to show love. So his way of showing love was like through just giving and providing for us. I mean, his mom died from alcoholism. His sister died from alcoholism. And he stuffed all that stuff down for years and years. And he was a very angry, angry person when I was young. He's much better now, but he you know, for that reason, we had a very weird relationship. When I was a baby and really little, we had a great relationship. But as I got older, like I wouldn't even really notice when he wasn't home for like weeks on end. And so when my parents got divorced, my dad had this like very big fear that he was going to lose all of us because he felt like the only connection he had to his kids in a lot of ways, especially me, was through my mom. And that was like really it. We didn't have really like a personal relationship at that time.
Yeah.
So like me and my dad didn't even really talk about that my parents were getting divorced because it was like really uncomfortable for us to even have like real conversations at the time because we didn't have a relationship like that. So I knew my parents were getting divorced for a while, but like me and him just like didn't mention it to each other.
Course. Yeah.
So when my parents moved out of their house, me and my ex-boyfriend, we were still together at the time, my dad, my ex-boyfriend helped my mom move into her place. And that was like one of the hardest days for me ever. And me and my dad still hadn't talked about what was happening, even though we were moving my mom into her own place. So it was like really weird. But
so how's the job going?
Yeah,
good.
like
just grab me that box real quick.
Yeah, I'm like, are we not going to talk about what's going on? So once we moved her in, my dad, he was going to go out to Long Island and that's where he was going to stay until he ended up moving to Florida. But that's where he stayed for a while. So he was like, it was going out in like a very lonely place and, you know, it wasn't the summer. So it was like.
Winters out there are brutal.
Yeah. So when he was leaving and we were all done, he asked if I would walk to his car with him. And he broke down to me and I had never seen my dad cry before. And this like moment was very like this changed everything in me and my dad's relationship from that moment on. He apologized for a lot of things. He felt like just guilty for wishing that he could have been there more and that he could have been a better dad. He didn't mean it, but all he wanted was to provide for us and he didn't know how to love. And, you know, it was just hard for me to see my dad like that. I just had never, like, I always saw him as such a strong person and he just like, it was really difficult for me to see. And, you know, I was like, listen, this is sad and it's terrible, but like, let's look at this as an opportunity for us to, like, I want to have a relationship with you. You know, I was only 22 at the time. I'm like, we have a whole lifetime.
Yeah.
You know, let's take this as a moment to rebuild our relationship. And we did. I started talking to my dad like every day.
Wow.
And I got to a point where I was calling my dad more than I was calling my mom, and that was like unheard of.
Yeah, of course.
You know, so, but unfortunately, in that time where he got close to me, my alcoholism got really bad, which was like trauma for him, to say the least, for what he's been through. So it was hard. It was hard for him to like kind of like get close to me and then like kind of was like seeing me kill myself once he like got close to me.
Yeah. Well, I feel like so look, we get clean and sober and we learn about like kind of like this new moral barometer, like more love, less judgment.
Yeah.
And it seems like that was kind of embedded in you at a young age because you're still drinking at this point. Most people, alcoholics, addicts, we kind of pick this up once we get clean or sober.
Yeah.
And like for you to be like, Dad, like, it's cool. Like, well, let's start now.
Yeah.
We have our whole lives ahead of us.
Yeah.
A lot of people would have acted out of resentment.
Yeah.
Be like, F you. Like, who do you think you are? I love mom. I'm rolling with mom.
Yeah.
And you didn't. And so I feel like the morals, your parents did do a good job.
They did.
Instilling those morals in you at a very young age.
Yeah.
But let's go back to Hoboken. You're now dealing with all of these emotions. And, you know, as you were saying earlier, you guys were keeping the image within the house and like, you know, emotions really weren't discussed or talked about as much. So these are all like big emotions that, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I had this situation. So I'm going to share, like, I remember when I was using and drinking and experiencing big emotions for the first time, you know, like a death or, you know, something crazy happening. I couldn't deal with it. And it propelled my addiction, you know, into the next dimension. And is that what was going on? And you kind of talk about this next job like it wasn't, you know, what kind of happened with all that?
Yeah, so the emotions were too much for me. They were too much for me. My drinking definitely became more. And at this time, I got involved with a guy that lived in my apartment building. He was a friend of me and my friends, and it ended up being a really bad situation. It was very toxic, and, you know, it's all I'll really say about it. But it was really bad for me. Really, really bad for me. But I was in a really vulnerable place. So it was like, I kind of just wanted a companion. I had just gotten out of a really long relationship, and we weren't dating, but it was a bad situation.
You were seeing one another.
Yeah. But it was like not healthy that we lived like right next to each other. So
right next to each other?
Like we literally lived in the same building.
Okay.
So, you know.
Different floors. But,
like we definitely saw each other too much. So so I started working in the city, and at that time my relationship with him was already really bad. Like and this is where it gets really blurry for me in the sense that, like, I don't really know, and we kind of spoke about this, like, I don't really know when I crossed the line, but I do remember around this time where all of this was going on, like, before I started working there, I think it was, like, I had, like, a 2-month break before I switched companies, so, that didn't help because I was home all the time. And it was the summer, and I was like laying at the pool every day and drinking, you know, during the day because I was like, oh, vacation, you know? So I started suffering from like really bad panic attacks. And I think it was a mixture of everything going on and kind of just feeling like very unsettled inside with what was going on with my parents and kind of missing my relationship and, you know, just feeling lost. But I think it was also a mixture of I was starting to have alcohol withdrawals, and I didn't realize that. So I was waking up almost every single night feeling like I couldn't breathe, feeling like my throat was closing, and I would have these like major episodes in the middle of the night. I would like wake up my roommates. I would have like my head out the window, and I was like, I need to go to the hospital. Like, I cannot breathe. I'm having a panic attack. Like, and they would eventually calm me down. But then I got to a point where I like didn't want to keep waking up my roommates in the middle of the night. It's like they had to work in the morning, and I felt bad. So I would pace in the middle of the night, like around my apartment. And I got to this point where I was like, okay, well, I know alcohol calms me down. So like, if I can't sleep, let me just like take a shot, and that will ease this panic attack I'm struggling from. And it became a habit. Like, this was happening to me all the time. And I would wake up in the middle of the night, and I got in this like habit of drinking in the middle of the night when I couldn't sleep. So I think that is where I crossed the line, because I can't like remember exactly what day I woke up and I was drinking at 5 a.m. Like, I don't remember when I thought that was normal.
Right.
It's blurry for me, but I do remember that. And then I just remember like having this job, and it was normal for me, like day one, that I drank before work. I remember my first day getting on the subway, I think I had like one drink before work because I was like, let me take it easy. It's my first day, you know?
Take the edge off a little, yeah.
Yeah, but I was still going through like full-blown withdrawals on the subway. It was the summer. And I remember like running into a Starbucks before I was like supposed to go in for my first day. And I was like dripping sweat. I was shaking. And at this point, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't understand what alcohol withdrawals were. So I like got to a point where I thought I was like clinically sick. Like I thought I had like cancer or something, honestly. Like I was like, why am I sick all the time? Like, why am I sweating in the middle of the night? Like, what is going on? And I would like look up this stuff and it'd be like, oh my God, you have like cancer. And I don't, like, because I would fail to mention like I drink vodka like every
day,
single
all day.
So I started going to the hospital a lot because I was in this cycle of like drinking more because my withdrawals were getting worse and I thought it was panic. So they were getting really bad to the point where I would go to the ER. And my poor mother, oh my God, she like the amount of, if I'm not being sarcastic when I tell you from like 2022 to when I got to rehab, I probably spent like 50% of my nights in hospital beds.
No way.
Rather than my own bed.
So that's over a year.
Yeah.
It's about a year. And
you have no clue.
You were going there all the time.
Well, not yet, but eventually I get there.
Okay.
Because of the way things landed. But
so you go there and you're like, I'm having a panic attack. They're like,
well, I would be like, I don't know what's wrong with me.
Yeah.
And they would like not really care. Like they would be like, you're having a panic attack. Like, go home.
Yeah.
So, but they would never like do my blood work or anything. But they would always make comments about like how high my heart rate was. And they'd be like, it's panic, you know? So I got into this mindset that like I have this terrible panic disorder. Like I am struggling from this terrible thing. Like how did this come out of nowhere in my life? Like I didn't even have really much anxiety before. So I remember, I think I remember the day that I realized I was going through alcohol withdrawals. So at this point, I knew I was an alcoholic. You know, like I was committed to the lifestyle. So I was working from home one day and I felt so sick. Like I was detoxing bad, like really bad. It was the morning. My roommates were at work. I was working from home and I don't know how I put two and two together, but something was like happening. I think like in regards to like my liver not being very well, like I had some sort of symptom.
Enzymes.
Yeah. Well, so I looked up something on the internet that said like, if you're struggling from this, like it might be like liver failure. So like I saw that and I was like, oh no, like that's not good. And I somehow then like did a deep dive on the internet and like saw all the alcohol withdrawal symptoms. And it's like sweating, you know, chills, shaking, this, that, everything I was suffering from. And I was like, everything just hit me at once. And I remember being on my couch and I was like shaking. I was like, oh my God, like this is really bad.
Yeah.
Like this is really bad. And then I start to see like you can die if you detox on your own. Because at this point, my first thought was like, oh my God, I need to stop drinking. Like this is really bad. And then I realized like, you're not supposed to do that.
No, you can die from an alcohol withdrawal.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So I like didn't know what to do. I had no clue what to do. But I do remember being really scared. And I remember being like, okay, I need to like, I think my idea was like to taper. I think maybe. But I found myself trying to do that. And like 2 hours later, I ordered a handle of Fireball to my apartment. So I was like, okay, I'm screwed. Like now I knew I had this like terrible mental obsession. So at that point, I think within that week I don't recommend this. I did try to detox at home. And I didn't go to work. I called out of work. I don't know why I was like too scared to go to the ER, but I called my cousin who struggles from alcoholism as well. I had been with her a lot of times in the hospital, like watching her detox, like, which I should have put 2 and 2 together. But I called her, and at this point, like, no one knew I was hiding all of this, and I wasn't around my family a lot. So like, this was a secret. And I called her and I was like, listen, I am going through, I'm detoxing off of alcohol. And like, my family knew I was a big drinker. Like, she was like, I kind of knew something was up. And I was like, can you just like talk me through this? I'm petrified. I was shaking in my bed. This was like the first real, little did I know how much worse it was going to get. But this was like my first real sort of detox. I didn't make it more than like 24 hours, but that 24 hours was brutal. And she was like, just keep drinking water, like just keep drinking water. But I couldn't even I could barely walk, you know, I was just like bedridden. So, and I ended up calling my mom and I told her, which was really hard for me. I was like, I have something to tell you. I have been drinking a lot and like, I just really wanted my mom. I was scared.
Yeah,
I was really, really scared. And like, my mom is the person I go to for that sort of stuff. And I just like, and my mom was amazing about it. She was in Florida. She was getting off a plane. She was like, I will come over there and I will sleep with you in your bed. Like, and I will hold you. And I was like, thank you. You know, like I just wanted my mom so bad.
Of course.
So, and she had a feeling, you know, like she wasn't like, what? Like, you know, she knew that I was drinking a lot.
She had an inkling, yeah.
Yeah. So, that was kind of like the start of when this cycle of all of this was like, people eventually started knowing. My family knew I was having a hard time. But that was like a very small, like that whole detox thing it wasn't anything. I just like went back to, that was in the very beginning. And then I committed to like this lifestyle of just waking up, drinking every day. I would take shots before I got on the subway to go to work. I would put vodka in my Yeti. I would, drink sitting at work. I would leave work, go to lunch, drink at the bar. I would come back and I was consuming a lot of alcohol, like a lot. And it didn't like cross my mind at this point I was really living in an absolute blur. Like this time of my life, I like barely remember. I was in survival mode because my withdrawals were so bad. Like I was just doing the same thing every single day. Like I was going to sleep drunk. I was waking up at like 5 a.m. on the dot, like not by an alarm, but by withdrawing. And then I would like have something ready and I would drink and then I would make my way through work the next day and it was miserable. And I had zero quality to my life. I was just trying to stay alive. And so I got to a point, I was so depressed. Like, and at this point, my roommates, who were my best friends, were obviously, I don't really know what like switched in me to the point where like I think I felt really guilty about what I was doing. So I stopped like talking to my roommates. Like I would go home and I would lock my door.
We isolate.
Yeah, I completely isolated.
We run. Yeah.
And these people were my best friends. And it was like, what is going on? And they started like, when I wouldn't be home, they started like going in my room and seeing my room I was living in like an alcohol like pigsty. Like I had bottles and bottles under my bed and everything was hidden everywhere because like I had to go through the kitchen to throw things out and I didn't want anyone to know what was going on. And they had like sent a picture to my parents and they were like something like, we're really, really worried. And at the time I was like, are you kidding me? Like,
you guys drink too.
Are you joking? Like, why would you do that? Which like, obviously now I understand like it was bad. It was really bad. So like, I don't resent them for that. At the time, I really did because.
Of course.
Yeah.
How dare you do this to me?
Yeah. I was like, how dare you go into my room? Like, so, yeah, I got to this point where I was isolated. I was so depressed. I wasn't talking to like anybody. I really wasn't. And I got to work one day and I was already drunk. It was like 8 a.m. and I was sitting at my desk and I was like, I am so sick of this. Like, this is terrible. Like, living like this is so bad. And not once was I like, and in between all of this, I was like going to the ER a lot still. And I don't know. But I was like, I think I'm going to kill myself. And it just like hit me like that while I was sitting at my desk. Because I just like didn't think there was any way out. Like, I was in this cycle for like a year or more than that at this point. And it just hit me out of nowhere. Like, not that I probably was all that time, but
like passively.
Yeah. But it really just like, I was sitting at my desk and it was like, I'm going to do this. I didn't tell anyone I was going to leave work because I thought I was going to kill myself. So I was like, it doesn't matter.
Sorry, that's not fun.
No.
I can relate.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like laughing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
that was so insensitive. I apologize.
No,
that was
but it's
because
true.
I can relate.
Yes, because you're like, it's not going to matter after this.
Yep.
So I was like, I didn't even get on the subway. I ordered like a $200 Uber home to Hoboken because I'm like, who cares about money? I'm going to kill myself. Like,
of course.
I stop at the liquor store. I get like, and at this point I'm already drunk, but I get a whole like handle of Tito's. Like, so I'm like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna make sure it doesn't hurt. So I don't really know what happened after that, to be honest with you. All I know is I left work like 10 minutes after I got there. I went to the liquor store. I went home into my apartment. I was planning on myself and I blacked out and I woke up in a psych ward.
And now what actually happened?
So I believe when I got super intoxicated, because I don't think I really did want to die deep down.
Ideology. So like you didn't care if you were walking down the street and a car just took you out.
Yeah.
Like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
You weren't wanting to do it. I get what you're saying.
But I don't remember exactly what happened. But to my knowledge, I called my mom.
Yeah.
And I told her.
Mm-hmm.
So, but like I sounded extremely serious. Like, but I was scared. Like, I was like, I need to go somewhere because like I'm gonna kill myself. Like, I'm really petrified. And I don't really remember like how I got there, but like my mom was with me and I was, at this point they hadn't transferred me to the psych ward yet, but I was in the psych unit at a hospital. So.
Was that in Jersey?
It was in New York. They took me to, like I was in New Jersey, but I went pretty far to go to the hospital. They took me to like, I think they took me to like New York Presbyterian, but up in like by, not like in the city, but somewhere it's like specializes in.
Got it. Substance abuse and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Psych
like, yes,
patients.
exactly. And my sister had struggled with stuff like that in the past. So my parents were like, my parents knew where to go.
Yeah, so, of course.
I wake up and I mean, apparently I was awake the whole time. This is what I was telling you about when I got to the hospital and my blood alcohol level was like, I should have been dead. I should have literally been dead. And apparently I was like completely coherent. And it was like, they were really concerned about that. So they got all my blood work done and they come in. And at this point I was like more coherent. I kind of remember this, and I was already like withdrawing. I felt like crap. Oh my God. It was terrible. And they were like, listen, you know, your liver doesn't look good at all. Like, my enzymes were bad, like really, really bad. But they were like, but we did take it when you came in and were super intoxicated. So like it should go down. But if it doesn't, like that's an issue. So we'll take it again in like 24 hours and, you know, whatnot. So, which they had to do in the psych ward because they eventually then transferred me to like an actual psych ward. Mm-hmm. And once I got there, I was like, I need to get out of this place. I was freaking out. Like,
everyone's crazy in here.
No, I was freaking out. Like, I didn't do anything besides, like, they had me on detox meds. I was like pretty out of it, but I spent the whole entire, I was so manipulative. I got them to get me out in like 24 hours, which I was supposed to be on like a 72-hour hold.
I can't picture you in a psych ward.
Yeah. So the whole
blonde little Karina in psych ward.
I spent the whole time sitting on the floor next to like the phone on the wall, and I was just spam calling my dad. And I was like, you need to get me out of here now. Like, I'm gonna lose it. So, and keep in mind, my dad, this was actually really nice of him. He lived in Florida at this point, and when this all happened, my dad flew down. So he was like waiting at the psych ward before they checked me in, when they like wheeled me in and stuff. And this was like the first time my parents had seen each other in a very long time. So it was like, it was emotional, and it was, but like they did come together for me, which was great, which I think that's the only time they've seen each other since then.
Because they care and they love you. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was really, really nice.
That you were at the psych ward, but
yeah, my dad stayed in the area for when this was happening. So I'm like, my mom, like, I guess at the time I felt like I could manipulate my dad more. So I was like nonstop calling him, just blowing up his phone. And I was like, I need to get out of here. Like, I'm going to do something really bad to myself. He's like, you're in a psych ward. But I was like, you don't get it. Like, I'm going to get out of here and I'm going to be crazy. And he was like, okay. And I like sat down. Like, I was like, I need to talk to these doctors. And I was like, I don't belong here. Do I look like I belong here? I don't belong here. I was like, I was drunk. It was a mistake. Let me out. Like, you need to let me out now. Like, I was like, do you see these people? I don't belong here. And they were like, okay, all right, we believe you. So they like had my dad come in and like ask me all these questions. I like lied about everything. I was like, it was a whole, I never wanted to die.
It was a misunderstanding.
Like, this was a total misunderstanding. I'm like, have you ever been wasted before? Like, let me out of here. So they eventually did, like, very quickly. Everyone was like, how are you leaving? Like, we've been here for 3 weeks. I think the one guy that worked there was like, I've never seen someone come in so quick and leave so fast. I was like, all right, never see you again. So that was like I think, so I don't really know what happened after that. My dad was like, you have to live with your mom for a little bit. And me and your mom talked about this. You're going to have to go to an IOP program. So this was my first like introduction to, but in my head, I'm like, IOP program for like what's going on with me mentally.
Mental health.
So I'm like, all right, I don't really need that, but like, I'll do it. Whatever. So I took a leave of absence from work and I lived with my mom, and I went to this outpatient program in Bergen County, and I like get there my first day and they're like, okay, you're in like the substance abuse like track. And I'm like, why? Like, I'm not an alcoholic. And they were like, well, considering like what happened and like what landed you here, like you know, we deal with mental health and that part of it too. So like, you probably need both. Like, how is that going to hurt you? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And then I hear like the whole, you have to pee in a cup. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not doing this.
You like, fucking pee in a cup.
I'm like, you're telling me I like have to be sober? Like, I'm not happening. Mm-hmm. But I'm so manipulative that I didn't drink for the first like couple days being there. And then I I went right back to drinking. I like manipulated my mom. I was like, oh, they put me in the mental health program. I don't have to pee in a cup because they confirmed I am not an alcoholic. I do not have this problem. So let's forget about that whole thing.
Yeah.
And I stayed for like another 2 weeks and I told them every time I had to pee in a cup that I had like a brutal UTI and I couldn't pee. I was like, I can't pee. Like, I was like, I'm not lying to you, but like, I literally can't pee. And they were like, okay, tomorrow we'll try. And I'm like, it's gotten so much worse.
Oh my God.
So,
you are a brat.
It was bad, like so bad.
Oh my God.
So I stayed for like a little bit and then I just left because like eventually they were like, okay, you can't stay here if you're going to keep not UAing. Like that's not how it works.
UTIing.
They're like, your insurance isn't going to keep going.
Right.
So I just like, I wiggled my way out of it. I didn't stay. So I go back to work and I actually like, because I had that short detox and I for that few weeks that I was in there, I wasn't drinking like insanely, but I was drinking. I like was in a little bit of a better place. I was still drinking every day, but I was not like off the walls, like drinking at 5 a.m. and I like felt a little bit better. And that lasted for like a week.
What happened after that week? Did you kind of just fall right back into it?
I did. I fell right back into it. And at this point, since I fell right back into it, my roommates were pissed because I like went and got help and they were really proud of me and I fell right back into it. And they were like, we don't want to live with this anymore. Like, this is really sad to watch this happen to you. So I decided they were the problem and I was not the problem. So I'm going to move in and get a place for myself.
Yeah.
So I found someone to take my place at the apartment and I moved like literally across the street to a different apartment by myself. And I manipulated my dad as well, like into all of this because my name was I was the main leaseholder at that apartment I had with my friends. So I couldn't sign the lease at this other apartment until my lease was over.
With that one.
This was in like April and it wasn't over until October. So I'm like calling my dad and I'm like, Dad, they are the problem. Like, I'm isolated in my room. They're so mean to me. If I just have the space to myself, but I really believed this.
Yeah.
Like, I really did believe this. I was like, if I have the space to myself, I'm gonna feel better. Like, I need this. I can't live in this toxic environment. They all hate me and I need to be by myself. And my dad was like, okay, I'll co-sign it for you as long as like you pay and this and that, and I'll sign it for you if this is what's going to make you feel better. And he believed me. So
your poor parents.
I know. My mom was like, I want no part of this. My mom was like, John, this is a terrible idea. This is a terrible idea.
She fucking knew.
But my dad was like in that phase where like we were just getting our relationship good. So he's like, all right, she's asking me for something. Like, let me be a good dad and like let me help her with this.
You're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to support it. Yep, I got it.
He's like, she never asked me for anything her whole life. Like,
so, I want to say, I mean, I have a daughter and I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to say no to my daughter. I mean, I know I will have to set those boundaries and stuff like that. But like being a parent, it's tough. And like you want to support them and you just went through all of this.
Yeah.
And like I'm speaking from your dad's point of view. I would be like, yeah, like whatever you need to succeed and thrive based off of what you just went through. And he just wanted to support you because he loved you.
And he really like loved the fact that I was coming to him because I never came to him about anything.
Of course.
So he was like, okay, if you're going to tell me what's going on and you're opening up to me and you're talking to me, then I'm going to support you.
Yeah.
So I moved into that apartment and I don't even remember like touring it. I was hammered and I was like, yeah, I'll take that one. And it was like way too expensive, like way too expensive. I moved into this like beautiful place. It was like $3,400 a month in Hoboken, 1 bedroom. It was so stupid. So stupid. I lived there for like a month before I got to rehab. So I I'm like, this is a new beginning. It's all going to be good. It was not. It was not good. My drinking got worse. And not even probably a month later, I like just stopped showing up to work at this point.
Oh, man.
Like just stopped showing up to work. I was coming up with every excuse in the book. And like my company was like, what is going on? Like, this is weird. Like I'd be like, I think I have some chronic illness and I'm always in the ER and this and that. And at this point, I really was going to the ER all the time. So at this point, I was in a phase of like detoxing in the ER. They really like knew me. And they were like, oh, you're back. Like,
yeah.
I was at Jersey City Medical like every single week. And my liver was getting worse, like really bad. And so I would get there, I'd go to the ER, and then they would transfer me up to the detox floor, which was like the 7th floor. I would stay there for like 2 days or so. And every time I was there, they had like this doctor that worked there. He was I think he was a liver specialist. And every time before they would discharge me, this guy knew me by name. Mm-hmm. He would come in and he'd be like, listen, this isn't a joke. Like, my liver enzymes were in like the 400s. It was really bad. He was like, you need to do something about this or else you're going to be in a really bad position like very soon. At this point, they didn't know. I don't think I was close to having cirrhosis, but I mean, I was close to having cirrhosis, but it wasn't like there yet. Mm-hmm. So they were like, you need to stop now while you're young, or else you're going to be in a really bad position soon. Because looking at your numbers, it looks like you're going to be there soon, but there was no really way for them to tell unless I like got looked at by a specialist. And I like refused to because I didn't want to know.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't want to stop drinking. So it would scare me for like a little bit, but then I was in this like just hamster wheel of like detoxing for 2 days, leaving, being like a little scared and saying like, my plan was never to stop drinking, but I was like, I'm gonna do this detox and be in a place where I feel physically better and then I'm gonna drink less. And it was the same cycle over and over and over again. And I was miserable again, completely miserable. So then I stopped showing up to work and I decided again, one day I'm going to kill myself, but I was very much more serious about it this time.
Okay.
So I was home and it was early in the morning and I was very drunk. And I remember I ordered like a whole sleeve of like those fireball shooters. And I was planning on going to the roof of my apartment building and jumping off. And I was just sitting in my apartment drinking like a fish, and I was like actually genuinely like mourning the fact that I was like very serious about what I was gonna do. I was like, I'm gonna die, like, and this sucks. Like, and I was crying and I was, I wasn't answering my phone, like no one really knew where I was. And my cousin happened to call me and I didn't tell her that I was going to do anything because I really wanted to do it this time. So I wasn't going to say anything to anyone. But she could tell that I sounded off. And she called my mom and she was like, I don't know what's going on, but Karina doesn't sound good. Like, I'm really worried. And she also struggles with what I struggle with. So she was worried. I don't really know exactly what happened besides the fact that like my apartment building was very much aware that I was an alcoholic because I lived on the first floor. There was DoorDash drivers coming in every hour, dropping alcohol off at my door. I was always walking around drunk, and like the people that worked at the front desk knew that I was like a raging alcoholic. So
1 month in?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah.
So I honestly don't know the full story behind this, but I think there was a mixture of like my cousin called my mom, and I don't know who called the police, but I do remember my doorman saying, "Are you okay?" And I was going up the elevator to go to the roof, and you could tell my like makeup was all down my face. I was crying. And they knew like I had issues.
Of course.
So he was like, "Are you okay?" And I like couldn't really talk, and I was like, I'm fine. But like he knew something was like, so I think that he called the cops because I was going to the roof. I'm not sure. I really don't know. All I know is I got to the roof. I like sat up there for a little while, and like I was probably up there for 10 minutes. And when I tell you, my building all of a sudden was surrounded by cops and ambulance, like before I could even like blink my eye. And I was like, there's no way that's for me. Like, wait, what is going on?
Someone else jumping or what? No.
Yeah.
No,
I get it. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to like do this now. Like, I don't know. And it was like before I could even think, there was people behind me, like grabbing me, like all these paramedics, all these cops. And it was like a huge scene. Like, and I was like screaming. I was like, because I really like wanted it. And I was pissed. I was really pissed. And they put me in the ambulance, and I was so upset. I was like, damn, I really thought like this was gonna be it. So they take me to Jersey City Medical, back. They take me like, and at that point I had never been to the psych unit there. I'd only been to like the detox floor. Oh my God. This was like loony bin gone crazy. I had this guy across from me they had people coming in like shackles from the prison. Like, everyone's like, you're not in a room. You're like, oh my God.
General pop.
Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. So I was there for like 3 days, and I was detoxing really badly, really, really badly. And I called my mom on like the phone there, and she was like, "You're going to rehab." And I was like, no.
Still?
Yeah, I was like, what are you talking about? I'm not going to rehab. And she was like, Karina, I will literally keep you like involuntarily locked in there until you agree that you're going to go to rehab. Like, you need help. I'm not like, me and your father are not playing this game with you anymore. Like, this is really bad. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll go. But then like when I got home, I was like, I need like a week. I need a week to go. Like, my dad already had everything set up. So he had a friend that was a pretty bad alcoholic that had gone down to Florida for treatment. And now he's like been sober for X amount of years. So he found out the name of the place. He talked to them. He got everything set up for me. And I was like, I need a week. And at this time I was seeing this, not the same guy, but I was seeing this other guy that was like,
not toxic guy, new guy.
Yeah, he was really nice. And it was terrible. I was like,
sorry, babe, I'm in rehab.
Yeah,
we're
like
done.
We were like dating, but like I didn't like him, and I like really just was like really lonely, and he like didn't judge me, and he would like keep me kind of sane, and he was like an enabler. So he would kind of just like shack up with me in my house and like watch me just ruin my life. And he was like, I'll do anything for you. And I was like, okay, well, he'd run to the liquor store for me. He'd do this for me, he'd do whatever. So then my parents start like calling him, and they're like, you need to leave, or like if she doesn't go to rehab, like this, like they were freaking out. Like they were like, get packed now, like you're going. And I was like, okay, fine. Like, I'll do it. But I did wait like a week. I like somehow pushed it like a week or so. And when I got on the phone with the people from the rehab, they were doing like an over the phone intake with me. And I was so delusional at the time that like I downplayed my drinking so much. So they were like, oh, okay, you don't need detox. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't. Like, I'm just emotional, and I'm just drinking a lot. Like, I don't need to go to I don't need to detox.
Mm-hmm.
So biggest mistake ever because I was
What was the detox
dying.
like? Take us through it.
So I did that whole week, like actively taper myself to some extent. So it wasn't as bad, and I only ended up having one drink that morning when I got onto the plane. And when I did land and get there, I felt terrible. I was very shaky, but I blew a 0.0. So they didn't make me go to detox. Like I went straight into PHP, but I was struggling the first, like, I don't know, the first week there. I was not feeling good, but it wasn't like what my detoxes ended up being like last time. It was, but it was bad. Like I still had really bad night sweats. I honestly shook the whole time. I only went for 28 days and then left. That was all I did. And I like still didn't feel that great when I left.
Mentally or physically?
Physically, because I didn't even do like a proper detox.
Right.
Because I was like lying.
Yeah.
And thank God they had me on seizure medication because they were like, that's a requirement for you to be here because I definitely would have had a seizure. But at that point, I hadn't had any yet. Mm-hmm. So the whole time I was there, first of all, I get to rehab and I'm like looking around and I'm like, Dad, my dad was so nice. He drove from Naples. He picked me up. He like dropped me off at rehab. And I'm like expecting this place that's like super nice because that's what it looked like online.
Yeah, a spa, the whole nine.
Which was like just what the residential house looked like. I was in PHP. So pull up to this house and like the first thing I see is like some guy in the driveway with no teeth, like smoking a cigarette.
Keep going, Dad.
And I'm like, this is where you're dropping me off? And my dad was like, yeah, like, come on. So we like go in, he like does the intake with me and I'm petrified. Every person I'm meeting, I'm like, first of all, I'm the youngest person there by far. And just like, what is going on? And everyone's like, oh yeah, I'm a heroin addict and I'm this and I'm that. And I'm like, what am I doing here?
Where am I?
Like, where am I? But like the texts were really nice and that made me feel comfortable. And I ended up loving rehab. Yeah. I loved it.
Yeah, same.
But I was the worst. First of all, I had this boyfriend.
Oh my God.
Home, and he was staying
Karina.
He was staying at my apartment. Because while I was at rehab.
Wait, how did you meet him?
He was my friend from
From down here? He lived down here?
No, I had a boyfriend back at home while I was in rehab.
That guy followed you? Oh, he was staying at your Hoboken.
He was staying at my Hoboken apartment.
Oh my God. The guy, the fake Uber driver for you. Yeah, he would go get your alcohol.
Yes. So he was but once I sobered up and I was over there, I'm like, I don't like this guy.
What the fuck?
And I'm and he's at my apartment. So I'm and I'm already having a blast, in rehab, flirting with the whole world. Oh my God. I'm I love this. This is so fun. So I call him day 3 and I'm it's over. You got to get out of my place. You got to go home.
The guy with no teeth was looking hot after 10 days sober. Yep. Okay.
Literally. It's in a bad place. So yeah, I'm you gotta go. You gotta go. Yeah. This is over.
But did you go back to Jersey or no?
Yeah,
you
after
did go
the 28
after
days.
rehab.
But I broke up with him day 3 of me being there.
Okay.
At rehab.
Yep.
I was go home. I need to focus on myself.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So, so my plan in rehab was okay, let me work on myself, but I'm not gonna stay sober. That was not in my. Oh no. That was not on my brain at all at this point.
Okay.
I'm listening to I'm downplaying my alcoholism the whole time. I'm everyone's why are you even here? I'm I just drink sometimes and I just ended up here because my parents made me come and I'm just having fun. I'm not really doing anything. I'm I'm going to take this break. I'm going to go back home and I'm going to go back to my normal life, how it was before I crossed this terrible line. And I spent all 30 days thinking about, okay, I'm going to be a normal drinker again. I'm going to be a normal drinker. I was planning everything out and Yeah, I made some really good friends in rehab that time, that first time around.
I bet you did.
I did. And I stayed in contact with everyone. They were like, became my best friends, which was, it ended up being a really good thing down the line because I stayed connected. And as much as I did not focus, it planted the seed in my head because a lot of people that I was friends with, that I became friends with, stayed sober. And I didn't know I didn't even know recovery was like a thing. Like I was introduced to AA, which I didn't really like pay attention to because I was like, why would I pay attention to this if I'm not going to stop drinking? But, you know, like I got a lot of like the facilitators there and, you know, I knew deep down.
You were going to drink again.
Well, no, I knew that anyways. I knew deep down I was a real alcoholic.
Oh,
but I was putting on a facade. But like, the facade was something that I like believed. It was just delusion. It was like a total delusion. And that's
So you don't stay sober this time.
No.
And then you end up going to treatment again. Can we jump to your second treatment? Because this is the final treatment.
Yeah.
What happened the second time in treatment that was different from the first time, obviously, that eventually got you sober?
It got really, really, really bad very quickly between that time I left treatment. I drank the day that I left at the airport. And I left off right where I was, and it got worse really fast. And I got really sick. Like, it was a fast, like it was 3 months that I was gone or I was back in Jersey. And within like, I mean, I was withdrawing from the second I woke up that first day that I drank. It was like, and this is like very important. And I say this a lot in meetings when I share, because when people believe that when it comes to the obsession, like I really emphasize the fact that I was in treatment for all that time and I focused on how I was going to control my drinking. I had one drink before I got on that flight, and the second I was in the air, my brain was, where is the next drink? Where is the next drink? And by the time I got off that flight, I picked up 13 shooters at the airport before my mom picked me up and hid them all around my house. And that's why I say that to people a lot, because I'm like, I was confident that I was going to be fine. And that's how fast that allergic reaction happened to me, that I was right back to where I was. And so it got bad really, really fast. And I was spending a lot more time in the hospital. I was going into the ICU because I was, my liver was really bad. And at this point, they believed I had cirrhosis because my enzymes were that high and my eyes were starting to turn yellow. So, and I also had alcoholic hepatitis. So I was like, at this point, I couldn't even really drink because I was throwing up. I couldn't keep anything down. I was throwing up blood. I was throwing up what looked like black, like charcoal looking stuff from my liver. And I got to the point where I couldn't even get from my bed to the door to get alcohol delivered. I couldn't move. I would wake up. I would puke everywhere. I was like living in, and I would try to drink, but it was like, I couldn't get to the point that I was at because I couldn't keep it down. And at this point, I had alcoholic ketoacidosis, which was, so like I wasn't eating anything and like my blood basically was like poisoned into pretty much all alcohol because I was only drinking vodka. So wait,
so your eyes turned yellow and
it was like one morning like that.
So physically you were just depleting
Completely. My veins were all spidery. My skin was turning yellow. I mean, I could barely walk. Like I really couldn't walk at all. Like it was it was really bad. It was, I couldn't shower. I couldn't. So at this point, I was like cooped up in my apartment for about a month. I hadn't gone anywhere. I hadn't showered. I hadn't done anything because I couldn't move. I was just like trying to get to the door to get alcohol and drinking as much as I possibly could. But I was throwing up everywhere. I couldn't do anything. So I don't know exactly. And I like to say that this was God because I don't know what like really happened the night that I decided I was going to go back to treatment. But thank God I had this stuff in the back of my head. But the alumni girl that worked at the facility that I went to, which is a huge part of why I do what I do now, she called me that night and she was like, "How are you doing?" And I barely remember it, but I just broke down and I was like, I need to come back. I need to come back so badly. But I was like, but I don't know how I'm going to get there because I couldn't walk. Like I didn't know how I was going to get on a plane. I didn't know how I was going to do anything. So she was like, we don't have a bed. And I was like, I don't like care what it takes. I'm going to die. Like I knew I was going to die any day now. I could feel it. Like I could feel that I had no food in me for days and days. And I was terrified. I was really terrified. So she somehow pulled some strings. I had someone come over who basically like straw fed me vodka to get me to the point where I was able to get on my feet. And I got on the plane. I got to the airport the next day, like 6 a.m. I had my last drink ever at the airport. I asked the lady for like, I was like, can I have 3 mimosas? Because I stayed up all night, like drinking Tito's out of a straw. So I was pretty drunk already. But at that point I didn't get drunk. So it was like just leveled to some extent. So yeah, I drank them like really fast. I fell in the airport. I cracked my chin open. My chin not open, but like I cut it really bad. I like was because I was so weak. I couldn't like really like take my luggage. So I was getting out of the stall. Like I went to the bathroom and I fell on the sink area and like everyone was like, "Oh my God." And I was like, "Don't worry, I'm going to rehab." Like I was telling everyone in the airport, I'm like, don't worry, I'm getting help. Like, cause you could see, I looked like I came off the streets, like literally.
I'm taking preemptive measures.
Yeah. So my plan was to get on the plane and drink throughout the whole flight because they were serving alcohol, but I passed out and my withdrawals were so bad at that point that I fell asleep for 2 hours and I woke up and I was in full-blown withdrawals. Full-blown. I was dripping sweat. I was shaking so bad to the point where I couldn't stand up. So I couldn't get off the plane. And the guy next to me was like, I mean, are you okay? And I was like honest with him. I was like, I need help. Like I can't get off this plane. Like I'm going to rehab. I'm detoxing right now. So he was really nice. He like got my bag for me and he asked him to get me a wheelchair. Wow. He was really nice. So yeah, I get off the plane. They pick me up, go to detox. I had a seizure right when I got to detox. So, which was crazy because they were like, we don't really see that because usually it happens like day 3. But because my tolerance was so high and I couldn't keep like that amount down, I was always withdrawing.
Wow.
So it's like, it wasn't like I could drink and feel better because I couldn't keep it down anymore.
There was a deficit.
Yeah. So that's why I was so sick at the end because I couldn't get to the point that I was at. So it was like all day, every day I was sick. So I had a seizure right when I got there. I blew a 0.34 when I got to detox and I had a seizure with that much alcohol in me.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's high.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So the detox was terrible. It was terrible. I was hallucinating terribly. I mean, which happened a lot to me in the past. Yeah, it was a brutal detox. It was really bad. I wasn't even really at the point yet. Like, and I say this to people a lot that like, at that point, I didn't know if I wanted to get sober, but I did know that I couldn't live the way I was living anymore. So something had to change. And I was only focused on feeling better at that point. So then when I got into residential treatment, it's funny because so I was there around my sister's birthday, and my sister lives in a different country than me. And me and my sister have always kind of, my oldest sister, like, I can't really explain it, but I've always kind of been like spiritually aligned with each other, if that makes sense. Like we go through very like similar phases of life. She's very spiritual. So on her birthday, which I was in residential treatment, she does these like spiritual ceremonies with like her friends over in Mexico City. They're like very into that sort of stuff. And her purpose of that spiritual ceremony was to like heal her inner child. And when she was in it, and I didn't find this out till months later, she actually like almost like embodied me that day. Like she saw me like in a corner in a room shaking, like, and almost like felt the pain that I was feeling. And she did this whole ceremony of like watching me break this like generational curse. And like, it was me like healing this crazy, like, I don't know exactly. It'd have to be from her like words, what exactly happened, but that was on her birthday. And she didn't even know like where I was at or what was going on. And that day on her birthday, I was in residential treatment, and I just had this like, I woke up, I looked in the mirror, and I was like, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm never going to drink again. Like, and I never looked back. Like something changed within me that day. I don't know what it was, but I was just ready. And I like remember looking at myself and crying because I knew I was going to do it. And I was like, and I'm going to do this better than anyone. Like I was so ready. And I changed like the next day, all the texts were like, what happened to you? Like I was so motivated. Because they had saw me the first time I came there, and I was like, go around, flirt, like didn't care. And I was like, I didn't talk to anyone. I was like, sat by myself all the time. Like all I did was journal. All I did was read the big book. Like I was in the zone, and I was like, who are you? Like, who are you? And I really I just started doing all this like, and what really changed for me, and I say this a lot to people when they're in rehab, when you understand that like rehab isn't what's going to fix you, I feel like that was a pivotal moment for me. Like I think a lot of people go in thinking like, okay, I'm going to go here and I'm going to get better. But like rehab's purpose is to like remove you physically from the substance, feel a little bit better, and you're not going to walk out of there cured, you know? So I do understand that like in rehab, they want to do a lot of therapy with you and stuff like that. But for me personally, once I was like, I need to stop figuring out why I'm an alcoholic. I need to stop trying to sit here and realize why I ended up where I am and just accept that this is who I am and how I'm going to move forward. That's when everything changed for me. When I stopped trying to figure out why I was who I was and just accepted it. And the biggest thing also for me was like being comfortable telling people. Like I changed this whole hiding thing, and I started telling the truth in group. And I was like, I've been lying. Like I'm actually sicker probably than all of you. Like I went there thinking I'm going to prove that I'm not sick. And I realized I was like probably the sickest person in the room. And I made a really great decision going to the IOP that I went to, because it was a 12-based place, and that's what I needed. I started going, like, they would take us to meetings at my PHP, and and that's actually my home group now, the one group, meeting they would take us to, this woman's meeting. And I started paying attention, and I was like, these girls are really happy. Like, and I remember going on like anniversary night and seeing these girls like get 8 years, and they were like so happy, and I was really paying attention. I was like, I want that. Like, I want that really bad. So that's why I went to a 12-step based rehab IOP. So I stayed there for like 6-7 months. Long time.
No, that's good.
Yeah, I did. And I think that people should take advantage of stuff like that.
Yes.
Because it honestly is good to keep yourself in that bubble as long as you possibly can.
You're building a stronger foundation.
Yeah, for sure. Because I started like implementing real life things into it. I got a job. I got my car down here. I started going to meetings on my own. And I was like operating through life sober, but I had accountability to the point where when I walked out of those doors, I wasn't staying sober because I was peeing in a cup. It was just normal for me.
Yeah.
It was normal for me. I went through my steps when I was in treatment very quickly. My sponsor is amazing. And everything changed.
Yeah.
Everything changed. For me, it was, I like fell in love with my recovery.
Yeah.
I fell in love with it. And I fell in love with like getting to know who I was because I had no clue.
So you hit the ground running. I want to highlight that moment you had where you looked in the mirror and you said you stopped trying to figure out what was wrong with you and just kind of accepted the situation.
Yeah.
And like what was going on. I mean, that's acceptance. You humbled yourself and you didn't fight it anymore. Yeah. You surrendered.
Because I couldn't recognize myself.
Yeah.
That was the thing too. I've told you this. I had to get my hair chopped off when I got to detox because I hadn't showered in so long. It was in a bun. So it was
nice.
Like, I had like everything stripped from me. Like I couldn't see who I was. And I was like, it was an emotional thing of that. And also just accepting everything. And like, this is where I'm at and I need to move forward.
What did you learn about yourself?
Everything. I feel like through sobriety, I've kind of became like a kid again. In a lot of ways. It's crazy. Like the way that I look has changed so much. And that was like very visible for me, like through this process. And I remember waking up one morning in IOP and I was like, I looked like myself again. And I felt like I looked like me when I was young before all of this happened. Like my face looked the same again. And I felt like I was in like 5th grade again before I ever picked up a drink. And I started to remember like, dude, I would like sit in treatment and I would like watch movies that I used to like when I was like little. And it was like the things that I didn't remember made me happy at all that like started to make me happy again. I started like getting interest in like going and tumbling and doing gymnastics again. And like the things that, you know, I just felt so free. And I realized that I was like a lot more chill than I thought that I was. Like, I just wanted, my life was simple. And I liked that because my life was chaos, like absolute chaos. It was the one thing I really did struggle with was like the friendships I lost. You know, like I lost my really best friend through all of this. And that was like really hard for me in rehab. But as I built that connection with my higher power, I was like, this is all meant to be. And that was when I got to like that step 3 where I really turned my will over. I just moved differently. Like I felt every single thing that I did, I really trained my brain. Like I would catch myself all the time. Like, who do you think you are? Stop trying to control everything around you. And it made my life so much easier. And I stopped regretting all the stuff that happened. And I was like, this isn't meant for me. This is where I'm supposed to be. And I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change anything at all because I didn't grow up like, I grew up grateful, but I wasn't like, I had a lot and I didn't like think about that often because I was just like blurred by everything. And the biggest thing was also gratitude. Like I would wake up and be like, I'm not shaking. Oh my God, I'm drinking water. Like I never drank water. Like I started like I enjoyed going into nature. Like I never liked any of that. Like I was enjoying and noticing like the little things. And I never had any of that before. And I just like when I walked into treatment, I couldn't even sit like doing any of those like meditation things. And I loved it, you know, like all that stuff changed, but I just couldn't. It wasn't until that like restless feeling went away that I was able to really enjoy that stuff. And I mean, meetings saved me, like for sure. It was the community of everything because I was so alone throughout all of this. Like I was so isolated. I had no connection to anything. I didn't even have connection to myself. I didn't have connection to my body, to my soul, to anything. And it was like going into these meetings, I felt grateful that I was even like sitting in a room with people because I was like, I hadn't seen people in like so long. Like it was just, to me, I felt lucky to like listen to people's stories, and it was like so intriguing to me. And I was like, sobriety's kind of cool. These people are kind of cool. And I just very quickly, like within that rehab center, shout out to Reprieve. Can I do that? They're amazing.
You can shout out anyone you want.
If anyone.
Reprieve.
They're the best. They are the best. They really do care, which was like, they're a great place.
West Palm?
Yes, West Palm. They, I was there for so long that then like I got to a place where I was really able to help people that were coming in. Cause like I didn't go to PHP there, but like people did come in there straight from detox. So like when I was there, I was 6 months sober, and like there were girls that were coming in, and I somehow ended up in like a bad room where I had girls that would last for like, they always would put like these really young girls in my room because they like to pair people up for like good influences.
Yeah.
And these girls would like last for 12 hours and they would like relapse in the middle of the night. So I had like 17 roommates, but it was insane. But I was like in a place at that point where I was able to like sit down with these girls, like read them the doctor's opinion, like do things like that while they were like coming in. And it made me feel so good. Like I would drive girls to like recovery church, or I would take them to meetings, and because they didn't have anything, and I had my car at that point, and that stuff started making me feel so good.
Giving
like,
back.
So good. And I was like, this is better than anything at all, that I was able to be in that environment and like help these newcomers coming straight out of detox, and like showing them around, and like doing what I wish someone like would have done for me when I came in, because it feels so good to like have someone, because I always felt like I was so young, and like I didn't like, there weren't a lot of people there my age, and there weren't a lot of girls that like really wanted to be better that were there. So no one really ever took me like under their wing. So I really started to like doing that, and it felt so good. And when I started doing, and then I started doing like H&Is when I was still in treatment and all those things. And I just, I loved it so
That's amazing.
much. It was just, I have purpose. Like, and I felt like I had no purpose before. And like my first H&I, when I was like sitting there scared that no one would like raise their hand, and everyone raised their hand in the room and was like, there were people with tears in their eyes. Like nothing beat that feeling. I remember like calling my parents, and I was like, this is the best feeling ever. Like I didn't think that I could really help people. And people were like, I did not expect those words to come out of your mouth. Like, and
this change happens when we start chasing sobriety.
Yeah.
And one of the best feelings I ever had, I was new. I was counting days. My sponsor told me get a commitment. I asked for a commitment. They give me door greeter. And I say hello to everyone the first meeting that I do it. The next week rolls around, and there was a guy with like an old timer in the meeting, like 25, 30 years. And he walks up and he goes, Kevin, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. He's like, welcome back. You know, I'm glad you're back again. And that feeling that I felt in that moment, like that I was accepted, I was part of. Was the high I was chasing through drugs and alcohol my entire life. And I just needed purpose and acceptance. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful process.
I had an old timer at, where we go to meetings recently, come up to me and give me like this old chip he had when I got my 9-month chip. And he was like, I've seen you since the day you walked in the store. And he was like, I am so proud of you. And like that to me was like, and I didn't even really know who he was, but like knowing that someone was watching me like grow from the beginning was like the most amazing feeling ever. And it's like you truly do, you don't have a choice but to figure out who you are in sobriety. Like you have nothing to do but sit with yourself, and like I didn't like myself and I do now, and like I'm a good daughter now, and my parents can rely on me, and my sisters call me for everything. Like the people around me ask me for help, and I, you know, as much as it hurts that I lost a lot of people, I now attract the right people. And I know that I really wasn't myself when I was friends with those people. You know, they were friends with someone who wasn't really me. It was someone who was an alcoholic and in a different state of mind. You know, I have people now that know who I am, and I don't have to hide anything. You know, it's like I'm held accountable. I pick up the phone and tell people when things are going on, and I'm not hiding anything. You know, the girls and the women around me know when I'm having a bad day. And I can raise my hand and in a meeting and say like, this sucks and my day stinks, and I'm not trying to find my way around everything and hiding everything, because I hid everything.
Yeah, you can get vulnerable. You have no problem. You're comfortable with getting vulnerable and putting yourself out there. Can't save your ass and your face at the same time. And, you know, the power of recovering as a community, you know, community is the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, people at meetings, sober people. 80% of the phone numbers in my phone, just from being sober 7.5 years, are people in recovery. 90% of the people I talk to on a daily basis are in recovery.
Yep.
Some sort.
Yeah, so everyone in my life is in recovery.
Yeah.
I don't really know anyone else down here, so, but I don't mind. And
of course.
I think addicts and alcoholics are like some of the best people.
Amazing people.
They really are. And like the thing that I'm so grateful for too is like I would have never looked at the world the way that I look at it now, because I did get so close to like being at my deathbed, and I got to such a low point that I'm happy that it happened, because I would have never been so grateful for the things that I have now.
Yeah.
You know, we look at life differently, and I think from a different lens than everybody.
Perspective.
Yeah.
It's all perspective.
And I always say I am happy that I was as bad as I was, because if I was like kind of had a drinking problem, I would have never gotten sober, because anything would have brought me back out. But I got to that point where it took me to my knees, and I literally couldn't walk. I couldn't drink. I couldn't do anything. And I needed that. I did, because this disease is so strong that anything that you find that will take you back out can take you back out. And
creep in there.
And that's how I was. It was like I was delusional, and I would have found anything to convince myself that I was normal. But I got to that point where there was no convincing. I couldn't function in this world at all. So I'm happy that I got as sick as I did.
Yeah.
I really am.
Well, Karina, I want to thank you for coming on, getting vulnerable, your willingness to share your story so that it helps another person who is struggling out there. So thank you again.
Thank you.